data search, the SQL, transactions, and the Polyglot. Flexible search can be used only for search. Sometimes you may want to update or remove entries with queries as well. With native SQL, you can do quick update or remove operations in bulk and avoid caching. The downside is the fact that Hybris infrastructure, tenants for example, has to be considered. Correct table and column names should be retrieved manually, and joins should be taken care as well. In the end, you have to remember about caching and not let results in cache differ from state of the real data. Here is the example of the basic SQL query usage in Hybris. First, you need to create a JDBC template bean. Next, you can use it for queries execution. To get correct table and column names, you can use the composed type item. With type service, you retrieve the composed type and from type name of table. From column names, get the attribute descriptor and retrieve the column name from it. Cache issues can be resolved with invalidate cache method from the PK utilities. For each Hybris thread, there is a transaction object. It is accessed with transactions current method. By default, Hybris transactions are using read committed isolation level. Here you can see two simple examples for transaction management. There are several transaction configurations. Activate, if disabled, on the rollback, items will still be created, but no after-save event will be published. Delayed store, which means that statements are executed during the commit action. But remember, in such case, search results inside a transaction will miss the modifications. Rollback on commit error is, by default, set to false. And model service transactional saves, if changed to true, the model service saves will be done in a transaction. It's suggested to keep the delayed store enabled for performance reasons. However, you can change this property for single transaction with Enable Delayed Store method. It's also possible to manually flush the delayed store with Flush Delayed Store method. To use the Spring-based transactions, you will need to adapt to configurations. Here, you can see the XML kind of configuration where I execute the XML transaction method inside a transaction. Other way for such configurations, and also a cleaner way, is annotation-based configuration. After save event is fired only when transaction is committed. If you did several updates to item, only one update will be fired. For create and update, create event will be fired. For update and remove, remove event will be fired. For create and remove, no event will be fired. No events are fired in case of rollback as well, even if transaction is disabled and items were created. The Polyglot is an optional tool that can be used to store some types in alternative storage, so you can distribute the load between two databases. It's designed to be used with the document-based storages. Generic and flexible search are quite limited with the Polyglot. You can't do joins or apply restrictions. Report audit features are not supported for Polyglot types either. Hybris provides the Y document cart extension, which is example of the Polyglot implementation. Apart from base code needed for Polyglot, it has examples for storing cart and cart entry items with the Polyglot, and configuring HSQL or MySQL DB connection. To customize this example, you will need to modify bunch of files. In Project Properties, you will have to set the needed typecode and choose Hikari as a data source. There are commented database properties, uncomment needed implementation, and adapt the URL with port. Type-related implementation is placed inside the cart package. Cart attributes should be updated for your attributes. Cart type info with your and related types. Database cart storage provides query. Here you need to have queries for tables creation and items persistence. And the serialized cart storage class is used for in-memory saves, but by default it's not needed. In the end, Polyglot items will use Model Service for persistence and Flexible Search Service for retrieval. Let's wrap it up. The native SQL isn't very supported, thus shouldn't be used for the daily activities. Transactions are supported and easily interacted with. The Polyglot can give you lots of flexibility but can be hard at the beginning. That's it for the SQL, transactions, and the Polyglot.